Not again.
Mr. Potter, when Mrs. Potter was upset, what did she used to do?
She used to drink a lot.
Enough for her to become unconscious.
I sometimes found her passed out when I came home.
So that day when you came from work and you saw her laying on the sofa, you didn't find it unusual?
No, if I would have known she was dead. Excuse me, it's just so much.
So you never even considered for just a moment that she might have been dead?
As I said, I had no idea whatsoever. If I would have had one, I wouldn't have acted the way I did, certainly.
Mrs. Potter helped you restore some of your paintings, is this correct?
Yes, that's true.
And for a long time you had paid her by hiding alcohol bottles in the wrappings that protected the paintings, yes?
Yeah, one or two might have slipped in there occasionally. So, are we done here? I don't know why I'm here.
Since there was no visible damage or bleeding in Mrs. Potter's body, it was suspected that she had ingested a poison of some sort. Mr. Campion, you were one of the first to receive the results from the medical workers. What was the outcome again?
Yes, as we can see in this report right here, they found out the cause of her death was nicotine poisoning, and I believe Max must have done it. He put nicotine in the alcohol bottles, which he paid Mrs. Potter with, and then he called her and told her something that made her very sad. He knew this would make her drink the alcohol, which he had received from him, and then thereby die.
So he put the nicotine in the bottles?
It must have been.
That seems possible.
And here we go again.
As you may or may not know, it was determined that the cause of Mrs. Potter's death was nicotine poisoning by ingestion.
And how much nicotine is required to kill you when it's been ingested like this?
Between 6.5 to 13 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, and the amount found in Mrs. Potter's body exceeded the legal dose, according to the medical reports from the examination. The question, however, is how would someone get a hold of that much nicotine?
Okay, I'm sorry, but anyone could do that. Where do you find nicotine? You could just extract it from a couple of packets of cigars. Even you could do it, Albert.
Oh, shut your mouth, would you?
Silence, please. Max, did you, under any circumstances, put nicotine in the alcohol bottles you handed over to Mrs. Potter?
And why would I have done that? Why would I want Mrs. Potter dead? Do you even have any proof that I did it?
Would you just answer the question, for heaven's sake?
Campion, let's speak outside again. Maybe if we show him the short informative clip about the poison, he will understand how Mrs. Potter suffered and died, and maybe then we will feel so guilty that he decides to come forward.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
Yes.
Nicotine is a poisonous alkaloid. Alkaloids are nitrogenous compounds that exist naturally in plants, but have a strong effect on animal bodies. Nicotine is found in, for example, the tobacco plant's leaves. It consists of 10 carbon atoms, 14 hydrogen atoms, and 2 nitrogen atoms.
When smoking a cigarette, nicotine-rich blood passes from the lungs all the way to the brain. There, it will imitate the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that relay messages between neurons. The nicotine will bind to acetylcholine's receptors, which are also known as nicotinic receptors. However, unlike acetylcholine, nicotine is not regulated by our own body. While neurons typically release small amounts of acetylcholine in a regulated manner, nicotine activates the cholinergic neurons in many different regions throughout your brain simultaneously. This unregulated stimulation and disruption increases the release of acetylcholine, leading to a higher activity in cholinergic neurons throughout the brain.
When taking in small amounts of nicotine, like when smoking, activity in the cholinergic pathways calls your brain into action, and you feel re-energized. Stimulating those cholinergic neurons also increases how much dopamine gets released by the limbic system, which activates reward pathways in your brain.
Nicotine can also make your veins contract as well as raising your heart rate and your blood pressure. However, if too much nicotine is ingested, the molecules will not only bind to acetylcholine receptors in your brain, but in your muscles as well. This can cause you to have involuntary twitching in your muscles, become paralyzed, and eventually stop breathing because your respiratory muscles are not working properly. This may lead to death. Other symptoms of nicotine poisoning are nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, sweating, headache, muscle weakness, and dizziness.
If a victim has been killed by poisoning, a way of determining what poison is by performing a Stas-Otto process. The content of the stomach of the victim is tested, and the process extracts eventual alkaloids. It does this by first digesting the alkaloids in alcohol and acid. Fatty and resinous substances are precipitated with water, and then the solution is made alkaline. After that, the alkaloids can be extracted with an ether or chloroform. Mrs. Potter died of asphyxia. She couldn't breathe. She suffered as the poison took control of her muscles, paralyzing her.
I now repeat the question. Did you or did you not put nicotine in the alcohol bottle?
Yes! Yes, I did.
Max Fustian, do you confess to killing Mrs. Potter by poisoning her?
Yes. I do.
Oskar, alltså du är ju vår MVG på det här med kameran.
Håll käften, vilka hade filmat då?
Man ser bara dina ögon. Action.
Ska du filma min rygg bara?
Action.
Träna på filma. Let's show him the short informative clip about the poison.
Det går inte. Du bara känner dig för lik.
Jag vet inte, Mao och hans och du är med mig. Jag vet inte om det här.
No. She died.
Nej, men det vet du inte.
Nej, du vet.